Hey y'all, hey, it's JJ Conway. Welcome to Building Wealth Together, where our goal is to help you walk in abundance and leave a legacy. It's Wealth Building Wednesday, where we answer your money questions with style and grace. To ask your question, go to buildingwealthtogether.com and click Ask JJ or leave a voicemail at 1-833-4-ASK-JJC. Normally we'd answer questions, but today we've got some wealth building teaching instead.
Hey y'all, hey, it's JJ Conway. I want to welcome you to today. Now, I will apologize, y'all. We are in the process of figuring out this whole mom thing, and now that I'm able to support my family and be home full time, and thanks to my investment on the football game, that's a 5 o'clock game. Plenty of time to be ready for fireside chat. No. That's a 5 o'clock game that was 2 hours away, and that doesn't even include the time to get little man some grub after he played so hard. So, if it sounds like I'm on the road while we're having our fireside chat, yes, we are on the road while I'm having my fireside chat. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to poll the crowd. If there's anybody that's got a question, go ahead and speak up. Otherwise, I'm going to roll into my top 5 or 10 questions, however much we have time for. If indeed you feel like you cannot pay off your bills, then we want to sit down and look at your spend plan, and we want to prioritize your spending. When I say prioritize, what I mean is let's take a look at your bills. Let's explore whether or not you actually can afford or not afford your bills. I get a lot of people coming to me who tell me they can't afford to pay their bills, but they got money for this and they got money for that. Now, I'm not going to cast a value judgment on what you choose to spend money on. Now, y'all, any of you who've been with me since when we started Building Wealth Together, like 6 or so years ago, you'll remember that I used to rant and rave against cable and satellite radio and all those forms of entertainment. And then I realized when I moved in with my husband, I'm like, I'm always ranting and raving about cable TV, but the man doesn't go out to the bar. The man doesn't waste money on a boat. The man doesn't do this or that. My Lord, let him have his cable TV. Just because I don't like it doesn't mean he can't have it. But see, he can pay his bill. So, we want to sit down and really evaluate. Can you pay your bills? Can you meet your commitments? Can you make some tweaks? Can you give up a little something now so that you can have more later? I like to say it's time to live in a normal life now so you can live in a normal life later. You say, oh, JJ, I can't do that. I can't do that. Let me tell you something. 11 years ago, I was $845,000 in debt. And I'm in the process of retiring from the military, and everybody's like, well, aren't you going to go get a job? And I'm like, I don't have to go get a job. Now, of course, I want to work. I want to still empower communities and change lives. But let me tell you something. The reason we're doing this call, via free conference call instead of Zoom, is because I have the freedom and the flexibility to go to my son's football game. And you have been working for a long time, and you haven't had the benefits that you feel like you have worked so hard for. All I'm doing is telling you, make a few changes with me. Make a few little changes, and in 5 to 7 years, you're going to find yourself in a position where you're like, you know what? I was going to do this. I could go with these clients, but I don't like their attitude. I'm not going to take them. You could find yourself with the ability to do things for the benefit of your family and not just at the whim of whoever's going to pay you some money. See, if I don't want to take you as a client, I don't have to. If I don't want to work, I don't have to. And I appreciate all the family members who've been reaching out to me and been like, hey, if you need to get a job, here's a place to go. Hey, if you need to get a job, here's my friend. Hey, if you need to get a job, we're looking to hire. I appreciate all of that. But let me tell you what I appreciate even more. I appreciate that 11 years ago when I saw myself in all that debt, I didn't give up. And I determined in my heart that I was going to be debt-free. And today, I don't have to go get a job. And I want that for you. So when you don't have any money, that's the first thing. When you don't feel like you can pay your bills, that's the first thing I want to look at. Can you really not pay your bills, or is it going to hurt you to pay your bills? Because there are some people that genuinely cannot pay their bills. And if you genuinely cannot pay your bills, then I can show you how to get on a pro rata plan and calm down your creditors so that you don't have to get sued and taken to court and have judgments against you and have your wages garnished so that they can get their money out of you. I can show you how to do that. You know, in all the years I've been doing this, I have only had one person who got taken to court and because he didn't follow my directions to a T. I told him to put his, and this is what I tell everybody, you put your budget in the letter, and he refused to do that. Well, when you don't show your creditors that you literally can't afford it, they think you're lying. And if they think you're lying, they're going to sue you. So, anyway, in 20 years, just one person, I'm all right with that. But I have not had anybody who does what I teach, who actually did it the way I teach it. I have not had anybody had to go into bankruptcy, and I've not had any of those people get taken to court. So, that's what we would do. Now, let's step it up a little bit, okay? So if you feel like you can't pay your bills, you know, how are you going to pay off these student loans? We're going to get you on a plan to pay down your debt, and we're going to include student loans in the debt. I don't care if you're 7 years into teaching at a Title I school or some other thing where in 10 years you get your forgiveness. If they come back and forgive it, great. But I'm telling you, 0.001% of people who apply, who meet all the requirements, actually get it. You know, it's like the Louisiana TOPS program. They promise you free school, but they hardly ever fund it the way they're supposed to. So people don't really get the free school, but everybody brags about having the program. Don't put your hopes on anybody else. You need to put your hopes on you. Because you are the only person you can control. You are the only person who you can control. You can't control anybody else. People come to me and they say, well, how can I get my spouse to get on board with, me paying down debt? Well, you can't make another human being do anything unless they're a child or incompetent. And by incompetent, I mean you have paperwork that proves you're their guardian. All right? I joke with my kids, you are not grown until you have your own house, buy your own food, and buy your own toilet paper. Okay? I can make my kids do what they want, or I don't have to pay for their stuff. Y'all can ask my teenager about that. He's in the car with me. That's why I'm laughing. But when it comes to life, the only person you can control is you, and the only money you can control is yours. And if you have an income, you can control it. Your income is your number one wealth-building asset. And the reason people call me the queen of cash flow is because I help people free up cash so they can achieve their dreams. All right? So I love it when people ask me that question because people feel like it's hopeless, like I'm never going to get out from under this thing. Look, if I can get out of $800,000 of debt, you can get out of anything. And it took me a lot longer than it can take you because for the first 2 years, I refused to pay down all my ex-husband's stuff that he ran up with the property. I chalked that up to property debt. It wasn't my fault, wasn't my problem. And then it was more than 2 years. I think it was like 3 or 4 years. And I was like, you know what? I keep waiting for these properties to appreciate so I can sell them and not have to get out of the rest of this debt. I paid off all the consumer debt. I hustled and got rid of all that. But all the 125% loans and stuff against our properties, I was like, that's him. That wasn't me. But, at some point in your life, you have to take responsibility for your life. And I may not have been the one that ran up all that debt, but I didn't protect myself against it happening. After the first time that it happened, I should have took protective measures, and I didn't. And there's a lot of us that use excuse after excuse after excuse, but we didn't do our own part. That's something I've been learning and realizing. And I feel a little awkward saying this because his son is sitting next to me. But the thing is it's so easy all those years to blame him for his role in what happened in my life. But I didn't blame myself for my role. And until I took responsibility for my role, I couldn't fix the problem, and I couldn't turn my life around. And I'm encouraging you today. I don't know what brought you to where you are, but you got a choice to make. And that choice today is, are you going to fight for your future? Are you going to fight for your family? Are you going to fight for financial freedom? Or are you going to end up eating dog food in a state-assisted nursing home because you got nothing? Are you going to end up old and alone like I was afraid of for so many years because you haven't built the relationships you need to have people in your life that actually care about you? I'm probably getting a little personal right now, but you know, wealth building isn't just about money in the bank. Oh, we're not just trying to get rich. Don't get me wrong. The more of us that are rich, the more communities we can change. But I'm about helping people have an abundant life. And an abundant life means you have the money you need to take care of yourself in your old age. Abundant life means you have the relationships that uplift and encourage you. Abundant life means you have the health and strength to enjoy your golden years, to enjoy the fruit of your retirement, to enjoy your grandkids. When I was laying in that emergency room and my brain couldn't form sentences, y'all, I realized I had been chasing all my life after the wrong thing. And I'm thankful for my level of wealth that I have attained that has allowed me to pay out of pocket for what my insurance didn't cover, and have the savings to make up for what I couldn't bring in for income. I'm thankful for that. But I'm going to tell you something. If I hadn't had that, and if I hadn't recovered as much as I did, what would I have had? For all my hard work and all my blood, sweat, and tears, what would I have had? And what I want to help you avoid is getting to the end of your life, or getting to the end of your strength, or being in a position where your mind doesn't work the way it should, or being in a position where your legs don't work like it should, and you have nothing to show for it and nothing to make your life easier. I realized that day when I was in the hospital and I couldn't even form basic sentences and I couldn't even answer basic questions. I realized that there is more to life than money in the bank. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm thankful for the savings I had, because that is what allowed me and my family to continue our way of life. But far too many of us won't take advantage of the strength, the time, the energy, the resources we have now to make sure we have a better future, to make sure we can retire with dignity, to make sure that our most impactful years can be impactful. I don't want to be an old woman facing the TV for 18 hours a day because I don't have any mobility and I don't have any mental strength and I don't have anything that I can do in society. I don't want to be that person. And I don't want that for you. Okay, so when it comes to your financial journey, here's my desire for your financial journey. The very first level of financial freedom that I want you to have, I want you to have freedom of choice. And what I mean by freedom of choice is I want you to be able to choose how you earn your income. I will never forget my very first check as a real estate agent who was also military, so they call that dual career. Dual career is when you are working one job and then you have real estate that you do on the side. Sometimes it's not on the side. I mean, sometimes you spend more time doing real estate than you do your day job, but you're not a full-time agent is basically what that means, okay? So I remember the very first day I got a check for real estate as an active duty military person. And that one check from that one deal, which was a small town home in Upper Marlboro, Maryland, it wasn't even a very expensive townhome. It was actually quite inexpensive for D.C. region properties. That first real estate check was equivalent to my military paycheck, my military monthly paycheck, including the extra money that they pay you to live in a high expensive area like D.C. In the military, when you move from place to place to place, they give you an extra amount of money. And so to make sure that you can live commensurate with your rank. So if you live in an expensive area like D.C., they pay you a lot of extra. That very first real estate check, y'all, the very first real estate check on a small townhome in Upper Marlboro, Maryland, that commission was equivalent to my monthly military check as a major back then. That's what my rank was back then in the Air Force with D.C. locality pay. I was floored. And it was the first time in my life that I realized I don't have to go to this job if I don't want to go to this job. And I made up my mind then. I think I was maybe, let's see, was it 2007? Yeah, it was 2007. So I was exactly 10 years in the military, halfway to what I needed for a military retirement. But I made up my mind right then. I was not going to do this job anymore if it wasn't fun, because I don't have to do this job ever again if I don't want to. And that's my first step for you in your financial freedom journey. I want to help open up options for you so that you have freedom of choice. The next step in the financial journey that I have for you is to help get you to the point where you have what I call financial independence. Financial independence is the next step, okay? Now, independence means a lot of things to a lot of people, as does financial freedom, okay? But to me, financial independence means that financially you can stand upon what you've built. And I draw a line between financial freedom and financial independence because in my mind, you can be financially independent, but not free. So what do I mean by financial independence? What I mean by financial independence is you have enough investments, or if you're old school like me and you started working back when they did pension, you've got a pension coming in, you've got monies in retirement or 401ks or IRAs or whatever it is that you've got, you have money that is coming in that you don't have to work for that meets your needs. And see, some of you right now, you are quaking in your boots because you don't know how long this COVID thing is going to last. You don't know what's going to happen in winter with COVID. Let me tell you who's not worried about winter and COVID. This gal right here. I am not worried about the financial impact of COVID. Now, I will admit, I do have one of those properties from when I was $845,000 in debt. I still have one left to sell, and it does have a loan against it, and I've been trying to sell it to my renters, and COVID kind of threw a wrench in that, so I'm working with them, and they're working with me, and we're going to get this house sold to them. I feel like they've been there long enough. I really want them to have it. It's a nice property. It's on a half acre with a half acre behind it of conservatory space that no one could build behind. Like, you just can't even get that kind of land anymore in the DMV. So they're in Brandywine, and it's being built out. It's a nice piece of land. It's a nice home, and I'm really happy that they're there, right? So I'm a little squeamish about that. But even if they can't, I won't die. I'll have enough to eat. I'll have enough to get my kids to school. I'll have enough to take care of life. And of course, my husband has an income, so that's always lovely, right? But even if he didn't have an income, we would be okay. And that's what I mean by financial independence. My husband doesn't have to work. He works because he loves what he does. I don't have to do fireside chats and take clients and teach classes. I do it because I love it. I love empowering people to change their lives. I love showing people how easy it is for them to win with money. I love when the light bulb goes off and somebody who's never been able to take charge of their finances for 50, 60, 70 years now realizes they have control over their future. I love that, but I don't have to do it. And so you might say, well, okay, well, that sounds good. How do I get to that point? Well, then mathematically, if you look in investing, mathematically that point is called the crossover point. I like the way the book Your Money or Your Life labels it because they call it the point called enough. When you hit the point called enough, you have enough investments and you have enough passive income you don't have to work for. It's giving you enough money to need. And the cool thing about when you hit the point called enough is everything else that comes in is gravy. Everything else that comes in is funding your dreams. Everything else that comes in is funding your calling. Everything else that comes in is fun for you and your family. My desire in life is once my husband retires is to go do missions work and not have to go to church begging for money all the time. Now, I know there's a blessing in God's provision, and I know there's a blessing in other people being able to sow into the vision that the Lord's given you, and I will never stop anybody from getting their blessing. You want to give me some money to help the work I'm doing in the community, I will take it, and I will pray for you. But I don't want to be beholden in this sinful and fallen world. I don't want to be beholden to people who say, well, we'll fund your missions, but you have to do this, and you'll have to do that, and you have to accept this, and you have to be open to that. All right? So that's just my own personal desire. That may not be the Lord for you. I don't know. But that's my personal desire. So now let's talk about the next level, which is what I call financial freedom. Now, that's where I'm working towards. I feel like I have financial flexibility, financial choice. I feel like I have financial independence because I don't have to work, right? What I'm searching for is financial freedom. And I hope you're going to join me on this next phase of my life. I've spent the last 11 years trying to get out of this debt, and now it's time to build wealth and change communities. You don't just have enough money to meet your needs. You have enough money to fund your dreams and your calling, and you have enough wealth that it continues to outgrow and outpace your ability to spend it. And so if you look at a model, you know, those of you who've taken my legacy class, you look at the model. The model is you first, then your family, then the community, then the world. So when we talk about stabilizing you first, that's your financial flexibility, your financial choice, right? When we look at your family, that's where you become financially independent. Then, when you attain the highest level, now you have wealth that continues to grow and grow and grow. And you're able to impact entire communities. And maybe you don't want to impact entire communities. Maybe you just want to have a nice legacy for your kids and your grandkids and your nieces and your nephews. You have the wealth to do that without impacting yourself. That's where I want you to get to. See, too many people come to me, and they're running up their credit cards helping their nieces, their nephews, and their kids. You haven't gotten the financial freedom and financial independence yet. You barely have financial choice. And what you're doing is you're cutting yourself off from being able to be financially independent, from being able to be financially free, because you never get there. But if you will hold fast, and if you will abide by solid financial wisdom, you not only will get there, I promise you, you will get there faster than you thought possible, and then you will be in a position where your biggest problem isn't, can I help my nieces and nephews? It's, who else am I going to help because I need to spend this money? Woo! I can't wait to see that in your life, y'all. Can't wait to see it in my life either. I'm on my way, though. Don't you worry. I am on my way. Somebody was like, aren't you so mad about how all these years you wasted paying off that debt? I'm like, I'm not mad because I know where I'm going to be in the next 11 years. Hey. So I'm going to go with another one of my most frequently asked questions. One of the most frequently asked questions I get from people, so I already talked about people who can't pay their bills. One of the most frequently asked questions I get from people who can pay their bills, they're paying down debt, but they've got some extra money. One of the most frequently asked questions I get from that crowd is, should I continue paying off debt, or should I start investing? I don't want to miss out on the time horizon of investing. And you throw in a monkey wrench with that, because some people are like, I put XYZ amount of money into my 401k, my employer will match it, and I don't want to throw away free money. Now, I'm going to have to extract this out because nobody stayed on the video long enough to get to this. I did a COVID video on why you should keep investing. It was like the second week of COVID. and I think it was like 7 things to invest in right now. The very last one was the stock market, and I drew a graph for everybody that explains why you want to keep investing in the stock market. So if I don't get around to trimming that between now and then, I want you to go ahead and check that out. The same principle behind that graph is the principle behind what I'm going to tell you today. When you have a credit card at 12%, 18%, 24%, 36%, okay? When you have a credit card that's accruing that level of interest, and you get the matching 4% from your boss, okay? Well, the market right now is earning what, 5 to 8%? I don't even know if it's that much. You know, you put your stuff in a savings account. Like, I think I got 2 cents of interest from my bank account the other day. I was like, what is this? You know, and I know that private lenders are paying out 8 to 10 to 12% right now. So the market is kind of low right now, right? If you are only earning what's in the market plus your employer's match, and you don't pay off your credit card every single month, you are costing yourself more money with the credit card than you would if you were paying off the debt. So if you think about it this way, if I've got a credit card that I'm only paying minimums on, chances are I'm probably paying anywhere between 12 to 36% interest on that card, right? So if I pay down some of that balance, then the balance that I pay down, it's like earning that interest rate in the market. It's like putting your money in and getting that interest rate back because now you didn't have to pay it. So you think in your mind, oh, hey, I'm doing a good thing here. I'm getting my free money from my boss. Woo-hoo. But what you don't realize is you are spending more with the credit card companies. And it's actually a faster path to wealth to pay off the debt and put that money into the market. Okay? Now, some people say, well, I have a 0% interest rate on my card, or I have a 0% for 6 months, and I'm going to do credit card arbitrage. I'm going to get this card and transfer my balance, and I'm going to get that card and transfer my balance, and I'm going to get that card and transfer my balance. And you can play that game. You know, if you're very organized and you want to play that game, you can play that game, but you are never going to be financially free. You're never going to be financially free. You're going to keep bouncing around, and the stress and the management is going to eventually take a toll on you. It's like these people who talk to me, and it cracks me up. I've only had one person be very honest about the fact that we are not on the same page. We were talking about finances, and she was talking about insurance, and I said, it doesn't sound like we're talking about the same thing. She said, we are absolutely not. She said it with such a smile. She's like, we are absolutely not. You're trying to tell people to get out of debt, and I'm trying to tell people to get this kind of policy. And she said it so sweetly, like if you didn't hear her words, you would have thought she was on your side. I was like, she's good. But anyway, I get these people all the time. They're like, well, you know, if you would invest in this policy, if you would have your people invest in this policy, then when they're older, they could take out an interest-free loan against it, and then they could live a tax-free life. And I'm like, if people will do what I teach and invest in a Roth IRA or invest in a self-directed IRA, now that's where the big money is, but you have to work to make that work, right? If you're not going to work, you don't want to do that because your money won't grow. But I'm like, if people teach what I teach, they're going to have a tax-free lifestyle, and they're not going to have to give back anything because it won't be a loan. So I get people all the time come up to me and talk about exotic financial strategy. And the insurance one is the most insidious one because it's like, oh, well, we're going to do this and do this. I'm like, but it's still a loan. You don't own the corpus. If you invest in a self-directed IRA, you're going to own the corpus, right? And so I want to encourage you today, when people start talking about all these esoteric and cultured and grown and sexy fires, okay, you got to look at what really works. You got to look at what really works. You got to look at somebody who's been doing this thing for 20 years, and it worked for them. I have had several friends that are like, oh, I joined this app, this day trading app, and I made all this money, and oh my goodness, my payouts are so high. And I'm like, are your payouts so high, or is the number in the app high? Because I guarantee you that over time, you're not going to get where you want to go in the market. You're going to get where you want in the short term, but you're not going to get where you want in long term. You know why? Because that's not how those things are structured. If they worked that way, the people at the top would make money. There are people who make money with those things, right? But not most people. It's the way it's designed. It's like going to the casino. You know, people are like, oh, well, this casino has 99.9% payout. Well, guess what? That means 0.1% is going to the house every single time. And if you're the house, you're making money. Overall, people are losing money. It's siphoning wealth. So if you're in that situation, I want to encourage you, pay off your debt first and then invest. And if you feel like, well, I really, really, really want to invest, and I feel like I'm wasting time and wasting money by not investing, then here's what you do. You set up a self-directed IRA, and I show you how to invest in real estate. And you don't even have to buy the house. All you got to do is find a house for somebody else that wants to buy a house. And now you're making money without going into debt, and you're making money that's tax-free. Talk about a win-win-win, baby. That's what you need to do. Now, you don't necessarily need to do real estate investing. As a financial planner, I like to sit down with people and figure out what really works for them and their personality. Some people start a business. You know, there's a great book called The $100 Startup. As many people have referred to that book, I should probably get a royalty from it, right? But it's called The $100 Startup. You don't have to go into debt and take a small business loan or play these machinations with buying an aged corporation in order to be able to go get a loan or a corporate credit card. You don't have to do all that. And I can show you how to do it without doing all of that. All right, well, that's all for today. If you have a question, go to jjconway.org and click the Ask JJ button. Or you can dial, get this, y'all, I got a new number. You can dial 833-4-ASK-JJC. ASK-JJC. How cool is that, y'all? All right, that's all I got for you today. Y'all take care and be blessed.
Love the podcast? Be sure to like, subscribe, and forward to 3 friends. You can ask a question or take a life-changing class at buildingwealthtogether.com. Now, go walk in abundance and leave a legacy.